We gather here today on the back of recent events in the last 2 weeks in this country, which now more than ever validate the strategic focus of this government in pursuing job creation and income opportunities for our young people. While many challenges face young people today, undoubtedly, the most acute challenge young people face in Kenya and in many parts of the world is the inability to access employment, jobs, and income opportunities. Among the number of unemployed people we have, over 60% are youth, many having no vocational or professional skills training. And this is what drives young people into crime and drugs and into a general state of hopelessness and despair. Unemployment is a problem that is not unique to Kenya. It deserves, and indeed it has, our immediate attention. The International Labour Organization World Employment and Social Trends Report of 2025 highlights that youth unemployment continues to be significantly higher than the adult unemployment rate. In some countries, youth unemployment is 3 or even 4 times higher than adult unemployment. The ramifications of this trend are far-reaching, affecting financial stability, mental well-being, and societal cohesion, and that has serious ramifications on the development of our society. The next century is going to be driven by technology. What this means, therefore, is that if we have to empower young people to realize their present and future dreams, technology must be at the heart of finding solutions to job creation and creation of opportunities. And therefore, IT companies like Huawei, you hold the future for our young people, not just in Kenya, but around the globe. Because technology, especially IT, is going to be at the center of solving the problems of the world, including the problems around jobs and income opportunity creation. And governments, including the government of Kenya, have come to accept the reality that going forward, as we solve our national problems, we are not adequate as public sector to give all the solutions that the country needs. We need the private sector. We have tested and received positive feedback that the closer ties between the public sector and the private sector can drive Kenya's progress faster. And we can reach to our desired destination earlier, faster, and with less difficulties if we leverage on working with private sector in partnerships. Some of the, in this city already, you know, one of the fairly good projects that have improved the face of the city is the expressway just outside here. It would not have been possible if there was no public private partnerships, because it is private resources used to provide a public good, which ordinarily, in the classical sense, should have been the work of government to look for money to build an expressway. Through the same public-private sector, public-private partnerships, we are about in 2 weeks' time to launch the construction of a dual carriageway to the western part of Kenya, which could not again have been possible if we kept our traditional divisions between public and private sector. And we are thinking ahead and seeing, trying to see what else is it that we can do to improve that public-private sector partnership to provide jobs like we are doing here today to as many young people as possible, to provide solutions for energy, to provide solutions for public infrastructure like roads, water also. The future of sustainable water infrastructure and water amenities being available, we have to bring in the private sector. So the broad for cooperation is beyond ICT and IT. It cuts across. And there are as many sectors as possible. And we are therefore reflecting on how do we, as public sector, enable private sector to help us converge our interests and speed up the development of Kenya and the development of the world. And therefore, going forward, we will be engaging in this space. And I think the same way governments raise bonds, we could also allow private sector to place bonds and raise funds to provide public amenities. Instead of the private sector struggling with their own resources, they can use the protection of the public sector, governments, to be able to raise private bonds, to raise money, if that money is going to be used to provide a public infrastructure. So we are looking at different population dynamics around the world, and Africa remains at the center of the future of the world, because Africa today is the youngest continent. The average age of the population in Africa is 19 years. Other parts of the world are not as fortunate, because the average ages in Europe, in Asia, and other places is much higher. And since the people are going to be an important variable in defining the future success of the world in the next century, and not just the people, but young people, especially young people, then Africa then lies in the square of influencing the future of the world.